Hey everybody, this is QT Marshell from All Elite Wrestling and one of the owners of one of the best training facilities in the world, the Nightmare Factory. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to Nick, who runs the Rise podcast, and this evening has Jacques Rougeau on there. And Jacques has a great project in the works. I'm excited about it. In fact, the Nightmare Factory has even told Mr. Rougeau that the winners of this project will receive a special 3-month, 12-week scholarship to the Nightmare Factory, which has seen athletes from all over the world come train with us. And honestly, some have signed contracts with major wrestling organizations in the world, such as AEW and stuff like that. So I'm excited for this project. I think it's great for aspiring professional wrestlers all throughout Canada. I support it, and I hope that if all works out well, I'll be able to come up to Montreal and partake in being one of the judges of this special project. So good luck to everyone. Just wanted to say hello. Just wanted to let everybody know that it is me, and we are offering this scholarship to the winners. So you can read into it whatever you want, but you've heard it straight from the horse's mouth. It is true. And again, good luck to everyone, and hopefully see you soon.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chatting with Wild Eye. I am Wild Eye. I've got an awesome guest, one of my most favorite heels of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the Mountie, Jacques Rougeau. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Sean, how are you doing tonight?
Great, thank you. How about yourself?
I don't know. Is it tonight where you're at, or because we have time difference? Yeah, I think
3 hours different, so pretty close.
Okay, so you're fixing to go to bed soon.
No. You're 3 hours ahead.
Oh, so you're 3 hours early. Okay, so it's actually like 4:30 in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. So yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I think we're gonna have a good one today.
Oh, I'm honored to have you. It's a blessing. It's a dream of mine to actually meet you face to face on here. So we talked a little bit. Would you like to tell everybody about your wrestling academy?
Yeah, for sure. We started this big thing about 9 months ago, my girlfriend and myself, where we went across Canada and we recruited all the best talent from indies, from independent wrestling and federations. And it's the first time that the 10 provinces in Quebec are going to be working together in like a competition.
Yeah.
Where we're going to start with 40 competitors, male and female, and we're going to eliminate them like 4x4 every week, and we're going to end up at the end where there's going to be 4 left, and the 4 winners are going to win $5,000 each. I found sponsors for that, yeah. But the biggest prize is of course, is going to the Nightmare Factory with the QT Marshell, one of the biggest wrestling schools in North America. So that's going to be what a great incentive for Canadian wrestlers to perform. And we're starting all this on the 15th of May. The elimination starts. And on the 19th, approximately, we're going to start seeing this on YouTube. So if you people want to follow this competition, they could go on wrestling-academy.ca. So it's wrestling-academy.ca. And the funny thing about this, Sean, is that I'm not going to decide who's going and who's winning. It's going to be you guys. Because if you go on the website, it's going to be done by votes from around the planet. People from Australia, from Germany, from Italy, from everywhere. I've been talking to them in podcasts, and England, and they're all going to join in, and they're going to choose the 4 winners. Actually, it's going to be like a reality show. Wow! So it's really awesome. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you guys going to travel across the country, or they're going to come to you?
They're coming to me. They're coming to Montreal, Quebec, la belle province. Yes, for those who speak French, it's la belle province. And yes, it's going to be awesome. And we have such great competitors. Actually, if you go on the website, I don't know if you could put at the bottom there at the end of the show or something, if you could just insert that. It's wrestling-academy.ca. You could go on there, and it's so amazing, the website, because it's one of the most beautiful websites of wrestling I've seen. where you have all the information how to join and to subscribe and then you got all the competitors, the male and female competitors, where you could just click on their picture and you go, and then you'll have a video of them performing for 30 seconds and doing a video, and then you'll have all the old timers like me that put in a good word about a good encouragement word for all the Canadian wrestlers. Like I got so many good people on there. I got Tugboat, I got Lanny Poffo, I got Bushwhacker Luke, I got Undertaker, I got Bret the Hitman Hart, I got them all. You'll see, it's amazing. I got I don't know if you guys follow MMA or GSP, Georges St. Pierre. You know, he did something too. I got hockey players putting good words for wrestlers. It's really become a world competition. It's going to be seen around the world, but it's not only for wrestling. Like all the sports are joining in now to see, hey, whose talent's going to come out of Canada to maybe someday, because as we know, if you're recruited to the Nightmare Factory, a lot of people are chosen there to go in the big leagues, like the AEW.
Yeah.
For example, they recruit from that school. So, and I got to tell you, Sean, this story, which is amazing. When I started this project about 9 months ago, I found my 4 sponsors of $5,000. And then I said to myself, I told my girlfriend, I said, we got to find an incentive, you know, to really, really make them want to join. And one of the problems that we have in Canada is customs and going across Canada to go wrestle in the United States, because you don't have working visas and working papers. So a lot of Canadian wrestlers dream to go into the United States. And so I said, well, why don't I try and call this guy? A QT Marshell has a wrestling school, and so I called him up, and it was so funny because when he answered the phone, he says, "How you doing, Mr. Rougeau?" It was like, Mr. Rougeau. I was like, he had so much respect for him. I was saying, oh, well, that's good. So I said, Mr. Marshall, I said, I'd like to my 4 winners of this competition, I'd like them to go spend one day, you know, at your wrestling school in Atlanta, Georgia, just one day where you could evaluate them. You could put them in the ring and check them out and see if they have anything that could make it happen for them for the long term, you know, in a professional business. And you could make them do some interviews and just make them feel like they're superstars, you know, to go there one day, just and he said, sure. So this is what happened, Sean. That's amazing. So now 8 months went by, and then because I'm doing podcasts around the world, and because you're going to see this QT Marshall, if you haven't already seen it, you're going to see it at the end of the show here. I'm showing this around the world, and every podcast I'm going, and QT's saying, hey, you know, I'm endorsing this. The Nightmare Factory is going to get the. So now, what do you think happened, Sean? Well, everybody around the world started calling the Nightmare Factory. You know, so and everybody wanted to join, everybody wanted to subscribe, everybody wanted to. So QT Marshall, about 2 months ago, he calls me up and he says to me, he says, Jacques, he says, what are you doing? He says, my phone here is red at the Nightmare Factory. You know, he says, you're doing such a great promotion of this thing. He said, listen, why don't I do something? He said, instead of them coming one day, he says, why don't they come for 1 week? Wow. And I said to myself, I said, wow. So I went and I called all my talent across Canada. I said, guess what? I said, you don't now only have like going at the Nightmare Factory one day where your throat is dry and you're nervous and, you know, and then you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. So it's like, now, guys, we have a week. So if you fuck up on Monday, you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to make up, you know? And I kept on going. And about last month, 1 month ago, I'm going on this podcast in Montreal called the Nick Drosis podcast. It's one of the biggest podcasts in Quebec. And I asked QT Marshall, because there was a lot of people. Are we there? Did you lose me there, Sean?
Yeah, I can hear you, but the video's stopped.
I can't see that here. Hold on a second. I'm old. On me voit plus. I don't know what happened. Something must have happened. There we go. Let's see. Let me try to get this back here. Hold on, Sean. I'm giving it back to you. There we go. Can you see me or not yet?
Not yet, just your name.
Okay. Hold on a second here. It's coming. My first girlfriend's working on this. Something happened. I don't know what happened. But I'm getting at the good part of the story now. Hold on a second. So there you go. There you go. There you go. You see me?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, let's try this. Just try to fix it while we're speaking here. Is this okay like this or?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great. Well, are you talking about me or the picture?
Oh, you are too.
Oh, wow. I'm just being funny. So anyway, so here's the deal. About a month ago, QT Marshall, I said, I'm going on this major podcast in Montreal. And I said, there was a lot of people that were skeptic about this going a week to the Nightmare Factory. They didn't believe it was really happening. So I called QT Marshall and I said, QT, I said, I'm going on this Nick Drosis podcast tonight. Would you mind sending a new video, just making a new one, just to approve and to confirm that this is all happening?
Wow.
So as he sends me the video, I wait till you see the video, you're gonna freak out. So then he goes and he says, hey, you heard it from the horse's mouth there. He says the 4 winners are gonna come to the Nightmare Factory for 3 months. Wow. And I went like, 3 months? And I couldn't believe it. I told my girlfriend, rewind this. So then she rewinded it again and 2-3 times. And he really, so something happened with QT Marshall that he kind of took this project of mine as his pet project. Yeah. He kind of got into this project like he really likes the talent in Canada and everything, the website and everything. So I honestly think that now he fell in love with the project. So now here's the difference from 1 day to 1 week to 3 months. So when I see this thing. So I called all the talent the next morning. I called them up. I said, did you see what QT Marshall just sent us? 3 months at the Nightmare. Now this is what it means, Sean. It means not only are you going to be like, you go 1 day, it's like I said, this dry throat. Then you go a week, hey, you got a whole week. It's like, Mr. Marshall, thank you very much. But when you're there for a month, it's like, how you doing, QT? It's not Mr. Marshall anymore. Yeah. And then after 2 months, and all the wrestlers from AEW that are stationed and based in Atlanta, Georgia, well, they come in and work out at the Nightmare Factory, the professionals.
Yeah.
So they're going to come around the ring. And they're going to see a couple of the girls, a couple of the guys training and working out, and they may find a liking in one of them. And they may find a liking in them just enough to go and see them and say, hey, if I were you there, I'd work on this thing a little bit, just a little bit. Look at the hard cameras a little bit more. Work your people a little bit more and give them some really professional advice. And they're going to, in this business, Sean, I've always said, if you want to make it in this business, there's 2 things that's going to make it happen. The first thing is like in any other sport that I know of. It's not always your talent. It's not what you could do, but it's who you know.
Yeah.
And the second reason that you can make it is being at the right place at the right time. Yeah. And and when you're spending 3 months at the Nightmare Factory, and let's say, for example, QT Marshall likes a couple of those talents there, my 4 winners there, female and males. And let's say he falls in love with a couple of them, and he says, and then during one of the shows, a pay-per-view or anything, or a night show, a house show, somebody gets hurt. So then QT Marshall's in the dressing room and he says, hey, there's a show next week, but I know somebody that could take their place. So it's like I said, it's just opportunities that came. So this project, Sean, is just absolutely amazing for every Canadian talent. And now it's so funny because since this has happened, all the promoters in Canada, many of the promoters in Canada didn't know that in Vancouver on the West Coast, on the Pacific Ocean, they didn't know on the Atlantic Ocean that Chris Dillon was wrestling there, in Newfoundland. So they didn't know they had a promotion there. So now, because of this website being on the air for like 9 months now, everybody's starting to know everybody. So promoters are starting to call me to ask me numbers of the talents in different provinces. Wow. So what a great thing for wrestling. And I'm so happy because I'm doing something that I'm passing the torch. It's like I had my opportunity. I was 10 years in the WWF, so and WWE. So I had my chance, and now it's like, for me, what a great thing. I feel so happy that maybe one day, who knows, maybe one day one of the students or one of the competitors in this wrestling academy is going to make it big, and they'll always be able to reflect and look back and say, Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie, booked me on this thing, and it's thanks to him that I made it in the big times.
Well, you trained Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
absolutely. I started him at 14 years old. He started at 14 years old at my school, all the way up to 18 years old.
Wow.
And then he left on his own. And that was amazing. Yeah, that was really, he was an amazing talent. And you know what's fun about this competition, Sean, just to finish off? It's like, I'm telling everybody, it's so important, everybody, subscribe, because one day, by going on wrestling-academy.ca, one day, you may you're going to vote for somebody, and maybe that person's going to win, and maybe that person's going to make it big, and maybe that person's going to make it in your own town one day. And you'll be able to say when he's going to the ring, like, hey, I voted for you on Wrestling Academy, and so you'll be part of his success, of that person, male or female. So what a great opportunity. I'm very thankful that I managed to put this together with all the help of everybody. I didn't do this on my own, and had a lot of help from a lot of people. And they have an expression that they say, Rome wasn't built in one day, and not by one person either. So, and so I'm sitting in that position right now that I'm taking all the glory and the credit, but it's not true. It's my biggest credit now is my girlfriend, who's been side by me. When we started 9 months ago, believe me, we had a lot of obstacles. And sometimes I just feel like putting my arms down and just dropping it. Like, hey, this is too much. This is too much. Too many haters, too many jealous people, too many. And she'd say, no, you're not stopping. This is your dream, and you're going to make this happen. So she was my main partner. And then all the guys, King Tonga, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, there's Tito Santana. Wait till you go see on the website. You'll see all the people that gave me some incentive to keep on going with this. So it's all this team now that made me where I'm at today and where this Wrestling Academy is today. And it's an amazing thing, Sean.
It is. I took a look at the site, saw a lot of the young faces, young talent. I'm eager to see it. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting. Like, it's very interesting.
So am I, to be honest with you, because most of the talent I don't know. I recruited them from all over Canada. They made subscriptions, and we just took them all in, and it was so funny because when we started getting the subscriptions, I was asking, and I have a lot of friends on Facebook that are, of course, in the wrestling business across the world, across the globe, and then I started this competition in Quebec, just in Quebec, the province of Quebec. And then I got some people from Ontario that wrote to me, the province that's next door to us. And I was saying, well, it's okay. It's not too far. It's okay. They could drive. They could come in. Why not? They're Canadian. Why not? Yeah. I'm the Mountie. It's okay. We're all Canadian. So then I took him in. And then next thing you know, I got this guy from Vancouver, Jordy Taylor, who he writes me and he says, hey, I'd like to be in, brother. I'd like to be in. So I said, okay, well, let me see here. So now we had to find a sponsor to buy plane tickets. So I went to get out companies, and then we had some Chad Daniels from Winnipeg, and then we had Cole Buska from Kelowna, and then we had some. They were coming from all over, and then I started getting some inscriptions from the Carolinas, from Georgia, and I got one from Hawaii, and I'm going like, whoa, like this is our first year. I got to find the transportation and pay the transportation for everybody, because I wanted to there's an expression in French that you say, clé en main, which means like everything's included. Like, it's like when you go on a cruise, everything's included. And, so I didn't want anybody to pay nothing. They didn't have a chance to make money with me because they're going to be wrestling 4 times, except if they make it to the end, they make $5,000, which is a lot more than they're used to making in these. But I didn't want them to pay for their food, for their transportation, for their hotels. I got some sponsors for all that. So it's been a really, really big job. And but now to see the people following me, the podcasts I did with Zashman in Australia, and Lord knows I can name them all. They're around the world. I've been doing podcasts. So everybody's going to be following this event. Yeah. The world of wrestling is going to be following this event, and they're going to be voting for their favorite ones. And I'm all excited. I'm really excited about this.
Are you going to be training with some of these contestants, or?
You know what? I'm going to be, I have coaches. If you go on the website and you'll see there's wrestling-academy.ca, you'll see there's different segments. There you have the managers. I got a couple of managers in there, a couple of referees in there. I got coaches. I got 4 great coaches that have, and the 4 coaches themselves have never made it to the big leagues, but they have over 100 years of experience, like 25 years each of experience. Yeah. So they're going to come and they're going to help these guys set up their match. And another thing that's really fun about this, it's going to be that the match is not going to be won by the winner or the loser of the match. We're going to, it's already understood that we're flipping a coin. Yeah. Like, whoever wins, they're flipping a coin backstage. But I also told the talent, don't worry, because your merchant value is going to be really good. Like, let's say example, Chris Dillon flips with Chad Daniels. Well, Chad Daniels wins the toss, so he's going to win the match. Well, that means that Chris Dillon's going to take 60% of the match, yeah, because he's losing. So I'm going to make sure that the people are like, wow, he won, but Jesus, he was good. So I want to make it where everybody has some value, some merchant value. And another thing too that's going to be amazing out of this competition, I always told the other talents out of the 40, I said, listen, guys, if you're not part of the 4 winners, don't even worry about it. Because for the last 9 months, QT Marshall has been checking my website. He's been following you guys. He's been seeing you guys have had exposure around the world. So all this competition, so everybody's going to be a winner that's going to come out of this competition.
Yeah, well, working with QT Marshall, it's going to be the most amazing thing, considering the Nightmare Factory is also run by the Runnels family, Dustin and Cody.
Yeah. That's right. There's 3 owners. There's 3 owners, and so no. Listen, the talent's amazing over there, and I've never stepped foot in that place, but I'm definitely going to go with my 4 winners. I'm going to bring them down to Atlanta just to go check the facilities out for sure, and just I'm all excited because Sean, I'm a 3rd generation wrestler, and my kids are the 4th generation wrestlers. And my kids just retired before the COVID. They just had enough. They've been wrestling for 20 years, and they all 3 retired. But when I was 4 years old, I was around the house, and it was wrestling. My great uncle was talking wrestling, and my uncle Johnny was talking wrestling. My father was talking wrestling. My brother Raymond was talking wrestling. It was wrestling since I was 4 years old. So I've never done anything else in life but wrestling.
Yeah.
I never had a second job. I've just always been stuck to wrestling. I wrestled actually professionally for 41 years.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's nothing. So now that I'm 61 years old, although I'm in great shape physically, I can still get in the ring now and do a nip up, lay on my back and just stand up on my feet in one shot. So I'm in great shape. I'm one of the lucky guys. I can't get away from wrestling. And now, since I'm not wrestling anymore, I had to do something, especially after 2-year COVID that we just had, where people were just sitting at home doing nothing. And when my kids retired, like 3 years ago, it was like, something inside of me died. Like, but my kids, I understand. My kids told me, Dad, we've been living your dream for 20 years. Like, we want to live ours now. And I say, okay, I respect that, but it's been my life and my dream. So now, after the 2-year COVID, then I came up with this thing here, and so now I'm alive again. I'm just simply alive.
Well, you look good. You really do. You look like, seeing you even on the camera, you look like you're in good shape. And
yeah, not too bad for an old man there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm really in good shape. I play tennis. I'm 61 years old. I'm going to be 62, and I could water ski. I play tennis, and I'm so lucky because 41 years of career, I never got hurt in my neck or in my back. So it's all my opponents that are hurt.
There you go. You still keep in contact with some of the old guys from WWF?
Yeah, well, that's for you to go see on wrestling-academy.ca. All those guys that I called. Yeah, they are for sure. Just 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I was with Undertaker. And then I hadn't seen him in 30 years.
Yeah.
And if you go on my Facebook account, Jacques Rougeau, you'll see me and my girlfriend. It's open to the public. Yeah. You'll see all the interviews I did, like even the one with Undertaker. He did an interview for. You can see it on my website, also wrestling-academy.ca. But you'll go see all my personal stuff, and I am implicated with the old wrestlers. I had Ronnie Garvin did one. I don't know if you remember the Garvin brothers, Jimmy Garvin and Ronnie Garvin. Well, Ronnie Garvin, we had the greatest feud up in Quebec here, the Rougeau brothers against the Garvin brothers. And I hadn't spoke to him in like ages, and I called him up to make a promo for this Wrestling Academy, and he said, hey, he says, listen, he says, if you want there, he says, I know you got 3 judges by the ring there. So he says, if you want, I'd like to be one of those judges. So I said, wow. And that's another great thing too. I forgot to tell you is on the dates that are going now, that it's like the 15th of May, we're starting the first round, the 26th of June, and then the 14th of August, and the 28th of August is the last day of the competition. And QT Marshall, he offered to come up to Montreal and be a judge. Wow. For the last 4 against 4, which include girls and men in matches. QT is going to be there to see the last 8 talent, to be there by the ringside to see who he's taking with him to the Nightmare Factory. So this has become really a big thing. And another thing too that's happening also, I had no idea this was going to happen. I don't know if it's because of COVID or because of the newspaper guys that just don't know what to write. But Jesus, I'm all over the media. Like in the last 8 months, it's like in the last month, there's the Montreal newspaper and there's Quebec newspaper. Those are the 2 big papers in the province of Quebec. And I've had 4 full pages of my wrestling academy.
Wow.
You know, it's like Jesus, it's never been seen in wrestling, you know, because, you know, wrestling and sports, you know, it's a little controversial because sports is something you don't know who's going to win, you know, and but it's now the Montreal Canadiens hockey team is doing so bad that they had to talk about something. So everything's in timing, you know, being at the right place at the right time, like I was saying earlier. Yes. So now I'm getting all these full pages of publicity. So everybody around Quebec can't wait to vote, you know, and and when you start in a province to get some kind of engouement, I'm trying to find the word in French, like everybody's interested in, how do you say that? Like, you know, a hype, you know, or something. When you get this hype, well, then the province next door gets it too. So now last week I had in the Winnipeg paper in Manitoba, the 2 states down, they had a full pager on Chad Daniels, you know, like he's in Wrestling Academy. So now the whole Canada, hey, I have a video. If you go see on my website, I have a video of Bret Hart, who's encouraging the wrestlers, you know, in the academy. So when you get talent like that, they're starting to get behind your project, you know, you have some kind of wind underneath your wings, you know.
Yeah. Well, it also helps who you are too.
Right? Oh, yeah. Who? You know who I am? I'm the Mountie.
That's my most favorite heel in the world, man. You did an awesome job.
I just got back from New York last night. I was down there for a Comic-Con. I'm not going to say a Comic-Con. It was for a signature, actually. The guy brought me down and he put me on internet around the world, and people send in some stuff in the last month, books, hats, the Mountie hats, and everything, you know. And I spent 4.5 hours last night signing some things that people sent in, they mailed in, and they had booked me for 4 hours, and they thought that, you know, 4 hours would be enough. And after 4.5 hours. The night before was 2 nights ago, actually. It was 2 nights ago. And then I told the guy, I said, hey, listen, I said, my hand don't write no more, you know, like, you know, I'm 4.5 hours. He said, and then he asked me, he says, would you mind doing tomorrow morning too? So we announced, and I did another 1.5 hours the next morning. So I did like 6 yesterday morning. Wow. So I did 6 hours in 24 hours where we're signing shirts. And if you go, actually, I put some pictures. So if you go on my Facebook, Jacques Rougeau, Facebook, JACQUES, and then Rougeau is ROUGEAU. You'll see a picture of me and my shorter girlfriend, and go see all the pictures that I put, because as the people were writing, I was like on I don't know, on internet or something, but the people could see me sign, you know, and stuff like that. So I was having conversations with them. I was doing that. I took many of the pictures. It's so funny because I was signing some things, and I said, do you mind if I take a picture of this one? Because there's so many stuff that I hadn't seen myself, you know, like magazines and cards and stuff. So it was a big, like even comic books, you know, me and Boss Man, you know, the jailhouse match and all kinds of stuff. I never seen that stuff. So if you go on my Facebook, you'll be able to see a lot of pictures I put there that are just mesmerizing. When I was wrestling with my brother Raymond, actually, as the fabulous Rougeau brothers, we had this finish where my brother in the middle of the ring, he'd pick up a guy underneath his legs there, and I'd go up the top rope and I'd come off with an ass bump, like, you know, right my ass in the guy's face. And, you know, but what a spectacular move, and, you know, until I'd never seen it because I'm always doing it. Yeah. But yesterday when I was signing all the pictures and I'd seen myself in the air like this, I'm saying, Jesus, was I crazy or wild or what, you know? And so it was a great time I spent in New York City the last 2 days. Yeah.
So you never watch your matches?
No, I didn't have time.
I
was on the road. I was on the road 25 days a month, and when I'd get home, I'd spend 5 days at home with my family. I don't think I'm going to watch wrestling if I only have 5 days with my kids and my wife. You know, so I was more busy in bringing gifts home and making parties, pizza parties, and firework parties, and just to show my love with money and gifts because I was always gone. You know, so that was my life, and I wasn't certainly going to bring upon wrestling in 5 days a month when it's the only time they could see me at home. So I know I never took time to watch my things. And if ever you want to go and really have fun, you could go on YouTube, and there's a couple of matches I could suggest you. Like if you go on Daily Motion, it's called Daily Motion, you'll see a match with me and the Undertaker, which is absolutely amazing. I'm the only guy who gave Undertaker 3 pile drivers in a row. You know, and it's amazing. And then I got matches like, and you know, Sean, since I'm on a bragging run here, you know, I'm the only Canadian to ever beat Hulk Hogan. You know,
I saw that.
Yeah, so if people want to go see that on YouTube, put Jacques Rougeau versus Hulk Hogan, and it's a clean pin. There's no chairs, no gimmicks, no interference. It's just 1, 2, 3 right in the middle of the match.
Wow.
And Hulk did me that favor, and I'll be in debt. I'll be in debt towards him for the rest of my life. Yeah.
It's like he's a great person in your eyes, and like.
Oh yes, and you know, people have no idea how great he is. You know, there's the haters and the jealous people, but I got to tell you something. Don't you try to wear his shoes. And you know what? He was doing so much. He had so much pressure on his shoulders, and he was such a kind guy. He would, you know, so many things that I remember he did. Like, you know, sometimes we had a double shot. We were wrestling in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, and we'd fly private blue planes to go to another shot that night. Wow. And I remember Hulk would come, and he had his own Lear jet there, of course, but he'd always come up and see the boys in the other jets, and he'd say, I remember one time he came in and he poked in the jet, says, everybody okay, guys? You know, we got a show again tonight. And then he says, come on, guys. And then there was a bunch of his friends that brought in sandwiches in the plane, you know, and stuff like that. He didn't have to do that. And we'd sit at the airport, like after a big night, and fly a 6-7 hour flight the next morning. We'd be at 6 o'clock in the morning. He'd be sitting in the airport, and you wouldn't believe how he was busy. People come up to him and they'd say, can I have your autograph? Come here, brother. Sure. And then he'd take pictures, he'd sign autographs, and he was so generous of his time. And, you know, people have no idea how great a man he was.
Well, everybody says he held the WWF on his shoulders, but technically he held the whole wrestling world on his shoulders.
Well, he held the Giant on his shoulders, Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3. I was there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you could say what you want about wrestling, but wrestling was created on that day, WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant against Hulk Hogan, 94,000 people inside the Silver Dome at the Pontiac, Michigan. It was like, and then after that, I remember going to Manchester, 80,000 people, Toronto, 70,000 people. And in those days, in the 80s, the mid 80s, it was something else. It was like, it was never seen. And you'd have all these celebrities from different eras singing, from boxing, Muhammad Ali to Donald Trump to what was that girl? Girls who want to have fun. There, girls just want to have Cyndi Lauper. Yeah. And you know, there was all kinds of superstars that would come from different disciplines, and wrestling was the biggest thing on the planet in the 80s when I was there. And my first tour, I started in 1986. I went to Australia, imagine. And it was like, I was to Melbourne, I was to Sydney, I was to Adelaide, I was to Perth, and it was just the most amazing thing. It was limousines picking you up, and we were bigger than Hollywood. Wow. You know, and that was all Hulk Hogan. It was all Hulk Hogan, and yeah. It was amazing.
Was it hard for you guys being Canadian going out to the States?
Well, yes, it was. Yes, it was, Sean. It was very much so, because as you know, even if you follow the actuality, the real actuality in real life, the Americans think that they're it. They think that they're the biggest thing in the world. They have this ego that's bigger than life. And, you know, I remember one time I crossed I think it was the Lincoln Tunnel. I was going into New York City, and that was the time of the war with Iraq. And, you know, and it was like I went, and just over the tunnel when you come in, there was the biggest flag I'd ever seen in the world, of the American flag. And it would say we were at war there. And then there was a big sign over the flag that would say, we are the champions. You know, like, you know, I couldn't believe it. I'm saying, holy shit, this country is screwed up bad. Like, you know, everybody in the house has a gun, everybody. So when we came to wrestle as Canadians in America, they were happy to have us when they were lacking of electricity and lacking some wood. But, you know, but when comes the time of when they're going good and they're doing well, they forget who their neighbors are. And so we would come in as Canadians, and Raymond and I, when we first started wrestling, it was like we were such a great team, Raymond and I. And I swear to God, I'm not being fresh or anything like that. Raymond and I, we were a great team, and but we were not American. So when we came in as good guys in the WWF in '86, '87. We were getting some people going, like, we were going to the ring. We were against bad guys in the match, but people still go back to Canada, go back to Canada. And then at the end of the match, we'd win them over because we were so good that finally at the end, we'd win them over, then they'd love us. But every night it was a constant battle to try to win them for us to be on their side. So after 2 years, Vince figured it out and he says, hey, you guys, he says, we're going to switch you heels. And he says, you're going to have those little American flags. And he says, you're going to become the fabulous Rougeau brothers, and you're going to move to Memphis, Tennessee with Jimmy Hart. And man, that was an explosion. Like, now what fun we had, because not only the song was amazing that Jimmy Hart had wrote for us, we were laughing at the Americans in the song in French. We'd do some interviews in English, and it was so funny because we'd say, hi, I'm Jacques. And I'm Raymond, and we're the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And then say, we're so happy to move to the United States, and we want to wish you all a good Thanksgiving weekend. But it was Memorial Weekend. It wasn't the right birthday. And people would hate our ass. And in that song, we don't like heavy metal, we don't like rock and roll. All we like to listen to is Barry Manilow. Hey! And when we had in French, on aime les faire fâcher, on aime les faire haïr. And it was a paragraph in French that we were destroying them in French, but they didn't know what we were saying in the song. So what amazing heat we had, Raymond and I, as the fabulous Rougeau brothers.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was easy to hate him. It really was.
Yeah. And a Mountie, and that was even probably more fun for you being a Mountie and a heel, right?
Oh man, the big boss man. What a feud, the big boss man. And yes, and especially, I say this story many times because I have so much fun. Before I came to the WWF as my second run as the Mountie, I was doing some vignettes up in Canada, and to introduce. They were doing some little videos of the talent to come in to be in the WWF soon, and you'd have Mean Gene Okerlund and Jesse the Body Ventura doing the commentaries on the TV, and then Jesse the Body would say, well, Mean Gene coming to the WWF soon is the Mountie from Canada. And then they put it on the screen, the videos I was doing. And one of the first videos I did was so amazing. I was in a park in Montreal, a public park, and I was on my horse. And there's this car that drives up beside me, comes right beside me. It's this guy and his girlfriend in the 20s, and he's lost. He's in Canada, but he wants to get back to the United States. So he pulls beside me in his car, and then he stops and he says, excuse me, officer. And I'm on the top of my horse, and I look down at him and I said, I'm not an officer, I'm the Mountie. So the guy looks at me like, holy shit, So he looks at his girlfriend like, hey, I think I got a weirdo here. So then so he looks back up to me and he says, excuse me, Mr. Mountie, can you tell me how to get back to the USA? We're lost. And I look at him from my horse with this ugly face, and I look and I just put my leg over the back of my horse, and I got off my horse and I go beside the car, and the guy's a little afraid of me, and he doesn't even put his window down. So I look at him and I say, come here. So the guy looks at his girlfriend says, come on, get out. So then the guy finally gets out. So I bring him to the front of my horse. And when we get to the front of my horse, I pick up the mouth of my horse like this. And I look at him and I say, you see that part of my horse? It always points to Canada. Come here. And then I bring him in the back of my horse and I lift the tail of the horse. And then you can see the donut. And then it's like, I say, you see this part of my horse? It always points to the USA. And then the guy just jumps back in his car and he takes off spinning his wheels. But it was like Mean Gene Okerlund and Jesse the Body would go back after they'd seen that. They'd say, holy mackerel. And it was like, but what a great entry for the Mountie to become one of the most hated heels in the company at the time.
I actually remember that. That was the greatest. That was hilarious. Whose idea was it for you to scream when you were getting handcuffed with in that brawl with Big Boss Man? when you were screaming, "You're hurting me, you're hurting
Yeah,
me."
that was my idea, screaming like that. I really got into my characters, you know why? And I think that's one of the things that is missing in wrestling today. I don't know. That's what I've been told. It's like there's too many moves and not enough storylines, not enough. And it's like, you know, and I always told the people that I mentioned to, if you don't believe in your gimmick yourself, how do you expect people to believe it?
Yeah,
Like, you know, so when I got into my characters, I really sunk into it, almost like a movie star. You know, when he gets into, you know, I always said to everybody, to create Batman, you needed a great Joker, you
yeah,
know, and you know, it always takes, and I think of Jack Nicholson being the Joker, and I think of all those great actors that when they start playing a role, you honestly forget who they are in real life, and you start believing their character. So I tried to portray a character and really believe it. And when I'm doing the character, I try to make it as real as possible, as if it was happening in real life.
yeah.
You know, so that's what my characters, I think they kind of got over there. The people liked watching me perform because they really thought that I believed I was who I was. I am who I am.
Well, that's the thing, right? People actually didn't want to meet you, or they wanted to spit on you or throw stuff at you because of who you were, because of
I have, I have so many people, Sean, that meet me today in Comic Cons everywhere where I go, and they say, "Man, I hated you when I was young, but now I really appreciate you." Like, you know, it's like, so I guess I did my job right, you know.
well, it's like the Undertaker portraying that character
Oh,
throughout his whole career. He was wearing black, he was doing that outside. Were you that arrogant outside the ring when you were?
hell no. Hell no, he was the nicest guy.
Oh, you were you arrogant outside? Like when you were around people, did you have to be arrogant?
No, hell no. I mean, only around the fans, the wrestling fans. Like when I got in character, no, no. If you knew me, you'd be disappointed. I'm a wimp. I'm a, like, you know, I cry when I watch movies. I cry when I listen to The Voice. But anyway, it's like, no, I'm not that. No, I'm not that person outside of the ring. But no, I gotta admit with you that people had the presumptions about me. Being a tough guy and a badass, and they got it all wrong. You know, my brother Raymond was a tough guy. My father was a tough guy.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, I think that part fell down my mother's leg there when I was born. But anyway, I'm just an easygoing guy. I like to laugh. I like to have fun a lot in life. And sometimes had a loud mouth, but you can't be perfect. But
No.
you know, I never had nothing mean to do or say to anybody. It was like just more like, but no, it's I'm a very easygoing guy. I like to play cards. I like to, so I'm very, very low key as far as that goes. Yeah.
Well, I know that we won't get into it because it probably upset you, but I know the only one fight that I've heard that you've gotten into backstage, and other than that, I've never heard anything else.
Well, I didn't look for it, you know, to be honest with you. You know, the Dynamite Kid had a problem with his size. He had the small man complex, and he wanted to prove to everybody that he was a tough guy all the time. And he played a lot of jokes, bad jokes on the guys, and he was getting the attention from everybody that were. He was a big bully, and actually, and bullies are funny people because I understand bullies today. I really do, because I did, after I got beat up by Dynamite Kid in the dressing room. I did my comeback. A week later, I did what I had to do, not because I was a fighter, because I only wanted to save the reputation of the family. But after that, when I quit the business 30 years ago, for 20 years, I went in every high school and middle school and elementary school in Quebec, and I gave conferences to the kids to show them how to fight bullying without using violence. Because for me, and everybody, you know, it's funny because everybody was saying, "Oh, Jacques, you're such a nice guy to do that and help people." But I wasn't doing it because I was a nice guy. I was doing it because it was therapy for me. Every time I would help somebody in a school to get over a bullying situation or something like that, it would make me feel a little bit more normal, or it would make me feel a little bit more sane, you know, because I was traumatized when that happened to me. And so, and you know, a lot of people don't understand bullies, because bullies sometimes they weren't born like that. maybe their father, maybe their parents were bullies. Maybe they were caught up in situations, or maybe they were brought up like that. You know, and there's ways to approach bullies and discuss with them and talk with them. And there's ways of beating them without using violence that I taught all the kids, by just sticking together. Because bullies, they feed off people around them that feed their ego. A bully is going to do something mean to somebody, not because necessarily he's a mean person, but because he's going to look around there and he's going to get all this attention from the people that are afraid of him, that nourish him. You know, they nourish his adrenaline and everything. But I showed the kids in school, like, if you stop nourishing that, you just ignore it. And I tell them it's not easy. Don't think it's easy to ignore them, because then if you ignore them, they're going to look at you and they're going to want, and they're going to want to bully you. And you know, a lot of the people that join bullies, many times, it's just, I know for a fact, because when I was young, like I said, I wasn't a fighter. And I was one of the bad guys too, because I wasn't a bully with people. But when I had this big guy in class that would bully the guy, the young kid that had funny glasses or big ears or something like that, and then he'd make fun of him. It wasn't so violent then, it was just making fun of them. He'd look at me and I'd laugh at his jokes. And because while I was laughing at his jokes, well, he wasn't touching me, you know, so it was a way of being a coward a bit, but it was the easy way out. Like, hey, you know, as long as you're encouraging him, well, he's not going to touch you. I learned in life that when you make that step, if you finally make that step and you stop feeding him, that he's going to lose power. And I give that power to the kids that stick together in classes now. And, you know, I had an example from a girl one time that out of my conferences, I had so many people that came up to me after and thanked me, parents and people like that. But I had this one situation where there's this young girl. She hadn't been taking the bus for 6 months, and her dad had to go get the young girl at school, bring her to school in the morning, go get her after class, you know, because and every time she'd go to her locker room, there was this 3-4 girls that would come around her and really mess her up mentally, like, you know, and scare her and stuff like that. And I went to do a conference in that school one day. And then the next day when I left and I gave all those tricks to everybody how to beat bullies, well, what do you think happened? The 3 bullies the next morning, they went to piss on their territory. So they went around the locker room where that young girl was. And then as they started again on her to show, like, hey, Jacques Rougeau is not going to change anything here. You know, this 20 girls that didn't even know the girl. They went and grabbed the girl, and they didn't fight with the other 3. They just grabbed that girl and brought her with them.
Wow.
And they took off altogether. And about a week later, after this conference, I'm sitting at home and I get this call from this guy. And he says, Mr. Rougeau, he said, I need to speak to you now. So I said, he says, I'm in Raponsigny. That was the name of the town. He says, I'm in Raponsigny. You need to come and see me now. And I'm going to Raponsigny. Holy shit. I gave a conference there last week. I hope I didn't say anything wrong. I hope I didn't offend anybody. So I drove an hour and I went to see the guy. And then he came to me and he told me that for the last 6 months, his daughter was never put a smile on her face. She would never, he'd always have to go get her at school and bring her back at school. She wouldn't take the bus. And for the last week that she now took the bus and she was smiling, and she had tried to commit suicide a couple of times. Like, she was really depressed during the last 6 months. And now she was a complete different person because of those 20 girls that went to save her. And now he told me, the last things he told me, he says, Mr. Rougeau, the reason I wanted you to come here is I wanted you to know, you've always been my wrestling hero in my life, but now you're my life hero. You know, it's because so when you do things like that in life, so when I look back at this bully situation and those who haven't seen it, you could always go on Dark Side of the Ring, go on YouTube and season 3, and you'll see Tom Billinger, and you'll see my part in there. And they showed it. I couldn't believe they did that. It was like 2 years ago. They came and they got my story like 30 years later. But if you want to go see how bad he was very bad. And he was but you know, when I went to the WWF in '86 with Raymond, he was tag team as the Bulldogs. He was tag team champions, and me and Raymond look up to those guys.
Yeah.
We'd look up to those guys. They were our heroes, you know. And it just goes to show, you know, that how a bad thing could happen to you in life, but it could turn out to be a great thing. Because if I wouldn't have been bullied like that and beat up in the dressing room first like that, and I had to do what I had to do, I never would have helped all those kids for 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but
Oh yeah, I do. You're a wonderful human being like that.
no, not really. You would have done the same.
Oh, I do. I agree. I would have done the same. I'm not a fighter either. Like I don't see a point. It's senseless. It's childish.
Nobody wins in a fight.
No,
Nobody wins.
you end up,
Even the winner loses
yeah,
on the long run.
yeah. Who am I to damage somebody else's face? Like that's their property. That's them. Like, and
Yeah, but sometimes it's more than physical, Sean. Sometimes it's like it's mental. Like you see a lot of people in life today. They help people. They start a charity for cancer or something.
yeah,
Well, I know this guy now that's helping me with my wrestling academy a lot. He's helping me. He's one of the $5,000 sponsors, and he loves the idea of me being against bullying and all that stuff.
yeah,
But I think of this man here that started a foundation for young kids that have bone leukemia, and it's like he lost his kid, and God forbid there's not one parent that should bury his kid in life. It's not supposed to be like that. But he has this foundation now that's doing so well. So mostly in life, the people that help people are sick people, or people that got hurt, or people that got touched by something very, very deeply. So that's what happened with me in bullying, and that's what happened with my friend in the bone cancer, the leukemia and stuff. So people that help people in life, it's mostly because they were touched by it some way. Just a month ago, it's so funny because 30 years ago, that thing with bullied started, that people tagged me with this, as being an anti-bully kind of guy.
yeah.
And then the COVID happened 2 years, and I stopped giving my conferences before that, a couple of years, like a year before that. When my kids quit wrestling, I lost interest in life, to be honest with you, and I was like depressed a bit. And then about 2 months ago, the board of the English school in Montreal, they called me up, and they had this thing across Canada called the Pink Shirt Day, because there was a 12-year-old kid that wore pink at school, and he was ridiculed so much and bullied so much that he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And so they chose me to be the spokesman about 2 months ago. So I'm so touched by that, because it's like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like they identify me as a guy that could save bullying, and so that's amazing.
Wow. You ever come out to Vancouver and talk to the high school?
No, but if they paid my flight and they paid my trip, I'd probably do it. But I just to be honest with you, I've mostly done some in Ontario and Quebec because it's driving distance, of course.
Yeah.
But now, since this Pink Shirt Day, who knows what comes up in the future? But now, to be honest with you, I'm so busy with Wrestling Academy. It's like my girlfriend and I were like we have a 40 employee job, and we're only me and her. It's like
Wow.
it's like from morning till night, we're always working on stuff. Like today, my girlfriend, she spent her whole day just booking some flights and booking hotel rooms for the people coming in, and it's almost like people across Canada that are following Wrestling Academy, they're going to think I have an agency, but it's only me and my girlfriend,
Wow,
really
that's
doing all this.
impressive.
Yeah, so I'm really busy with this, and the fun part of it now is, like, since there's so much interest in this project, that we're probably going to do it for 6, 7, 8 years to come.
Wow.
Yeah, because I love promoting the talent and just giving a chance that the people to do their passion, to live their passion. That's another thing. When I was doing the conferences in the schools, I always stepped aside of the bullying. Sometimes I'd hit another subject that was so important, and I was always telling the kids, "Hey, listen, guys." I'd bring my belts and stuff, my championship belts and all those things, my dolls. I tried to impress them at the beginning, a lot of stuff to get their attention. And I'd always told them, I said, you know what? I said, in life, we all have a passion. Everybody has a passion when you're born. We all have one. And I said, sometimes you don't succeed at your passion. Like, you try it and there's better people than you, but it's okay. I said, you're allowed to try again and do it a second time. Take a second course, take a second year, take a third year, because what you kids got to understand is, if you punch your card at work from 9 to 5 and you're doing a job for 40 years that you don't like, life is going to be long. So you might as well spend 2, 3 years, 4 years working at what you wanted, your dream, working at it, and start over until you get it. Because once you start living your dream, like me, I'm 62 years old soon, and I'm still dreaming. And you ask me how many hours I work today on my Wrestling Academy, I'd probably say 1 or 2, but the truth is it's probably 8 or 9 hours. But I didn't see it go by because I'm having so much fun in what I'm doing. So you have to work and live your passion. That's how you have to live life.
Wow, that's amazing. I am so, like I said, I'm so eager to see it in the future and all that, just to see all the new talent. And it's amazing just for one or for the 4 people to get to go to the Nightmare Academy. It's wow. Like,
I can't wait to see them live their dream, because
yeah,
those 4 that are going to go to Atlanta, Georgia, once they walk in the facility with me, because I've never seen it either. So when we walk in there for the first time, I'm not going to be looking at the weights and the rings and all that. I'm going to be looking at the eyes of my 4 winners.
yeah,
When they come in there and when they meet Jake the Snake because he works out there, or they meet whoever that's training there, and then the old timers, the younger talent, so it's going to be something for me to look into their eyes and see the shining, the glow, and how much they're going to be like like groupies,
you've got to be in glory watching Kevin Owens then.
Oh, for sure, but he was. I remember him in my school. He was always ahead of everybody. I always had to put the brakes on him, because I had like 6, 7 students per class,
Yeah,
and every time I teach something to the class, he'd always learn it just like this. He was always ahead of everybody, and I always have to tell him. Like Kevin would come up to me sometimes and he would say, "Jacques, why aren't we doing something else today?" I said, "Kevin, you're not alone in this class, to take it easy, relax." I
yeah.
always had to put the brakes on him because he was a fast learner. He was a natural. Yeah.
Wow. Did you train Sami Zayn as well?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
yeah,
I never met. I don't think I never met Sami Zayn.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good talent too. I don't like the character too much, but he plays a good heel if you don't like the character.
You know what? I got to tell you something. I'm sorry that I'll probably disappoint you in a way. There, I couldn't be a hero. I couldn't be a hero the whole time. So let me disappoint you one thing. 30 years ago, I had a falling out with Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
I just didn't I didn't agree in the way he did things, and especially when it came to me personally. And I had a falling out, and I quit watching wrestling.
really?
And for the last 30 years, I have never watched one wrestling show, not one.
Wow.
So when people ask me about the talent today, the only people I know is like from my students telling me like Stone Cold or Goldberg or The Rock. I knew him before. I wrestled him as Marvia, so I knew him. The Rock, Kevin Owens, because he's my student. But then sometimes they talk about if you talk about CM Punk or something, I don't even know what he looks like. I've never seen a show in 30 years, a
Wow.
wrestling show. And if you ask me who wrestles at AEW, like when I called QT Marshall, I had no idea who he was.
Really?
I have no idea those talents because I only know the old timers like me. The ones that you'll go see, and actually you'll go see on wrestling-academy.ca. Go see all the comments I get from everybody. They're all old guys like me and old women like me. It's because I've never watched wrestling after that. Because every time I'd watch wrestling, it would hurt me.
Yeah.
It would bring me back a sour taste in my mouth of how it finished between me and Vince.
Yeah.
And so I just never watched wrestling. So I don't know the wrestling of today. I only know the wrestling of before when there were storytellers and there was Coco Beware and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Bushwhackers, Yay, and all those characters that we had. The Jake the Snake put the snake on you, and and those are the $1 Million Man and the DiBiase with Virgil and the Bulldogs and the Ricky Martel and Tito Santana, and then all those talent, John Studd, King Kong Bundy, all those guys that I used to work with, Bam Bam Bigelow, and so those are the talent that I was brought up and lived with. But after that, when I closed the door,
Yeah.
30 years I haven't watched wrestling.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about what's going on. The only thing I do hear is like I heard that everybody in the Comic Cons, everywhere I go, probably because it's the fans of our era that come to see us, but they're all saying the same thing. It's like wrestling is not what it used to be. Like, wrestling is like they don't have the characters. Like Brett, I talked to Brett the other day, and Brett was telling me, Jacques, you wouldn't believe it. They give you a piece of sheet of paper, and they tell you what to say. It's like tell me what to say. Sometimes I'd be doing an interview with Mean Gene Okerlund and be saying like, hey, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Are those your shoes, Mean Gene? Jesus Christ. And then, but it would be like, it would be coming from me. The interview would be coming from my mind and my state of mind. And, it was real. It was like, and now Brett was telling me he had to read some things. That was about 10 years ago, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't get into it. He says, it's not me. And so I think they lost the human touch in the characters. It's more like they're all alike, and then that's why Kevin Owens doing so well, because Kevin, he's at the body that doesn't look like the other wrestlers. And then, he's not the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I think that when the fans come and meet us, they keep reminding us that the best era of wrestling was in the 80s and the early 90s. So I'm glad I was part of that. I really was. I'm just hoping one day I'll be in the Hall of Fame. I sincerely hope it, because I know that I'm on bad terms with Vince, but I know that everybody that I work with are in the Hall of Fame. So maybe one day he'll just turn the page and put the people in the Hall of Fame for their talent and not for his personal relationships with them.
Well, Warrior's in there, and Macho.
That says a lot. I'm not gonna say anything about the people that are there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something about the people that are not there, like Demolition, like the Killer Bees, like the guys, the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, or the Mountie, or it's like there's some characters that need to be in there, and then just because it was so part of society and part of the human. Everybody was watching wrestling at the time, and it was like we were part of their lives, and so I'm still hoping one day that somewhere down the line I'll get this letter from the mail or something and say, hey, you got to come to WrestleMania because you're introduced at the Hall of Fame. But a lot of people tell me, though, to be honest with you, that I'm already in the Hall of Fame in their hearts. So it's like so I could live with that.
Your family is. Totally, your family is way up there. Like you've got, I know I've seen videos of your dad wrestle,
Man, he's my hero, my dad. And I'm thinking also about Rick Martel, and the guys that that they need to be in there. Even Dino Bravo, and there's so many guys that they need to be in there, because I honestly tell people sometimes that everybody that was on the WrestleMania 3 card in front of 93,000 people seen around the world should be in the Hall of Fame.
And that was your guys' first WrestleMania, was it not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
that's why I said that one, because I was.
There you go. See? But I agree. You and your brother should be in there.
Well, the Rougeau family should be there. It's unforgivable that the two greatest families in Canada, the Harts and the Rougeaus, and that the Rougeaus are not in there. It's almost makes no sense to me. And not just thinking about myself being selfish, but thinking about my dad and my Uncle Johnny and it's like, Jesus Christ, they were iconic wrestlers. They were as hot as Maurice Richard in hockey, and it was like, how can you not be in the Hall of Fame? It's so one day, who knows?
Yeah, well, like you said, you guys are in the Hall of Fame in a lot of people's hearts. Hall of Fame.
And but maybe also there's the fact that I think Hall of Famers, they get $5,000 cash, when they get in the Hall of Fame. That's what I think. So Vince doesn't want to give me any more money. So he's gonna wait till I die, and then he'll put me in.
He's not actually that hard to work for.
Vince was a very nice guy. When I met him, I had fun with him. I had so much good times with him, laughing and stuff. And when it was going good, it was going good for 10 years. And when it was falling out, I feel like he's a man who, when he takes the juice out of you, and he takes everything out of you, then you're not as important to him anymore. And but I think that's life in a lot of businesses and a lot of people. It's not only in wrestling. It's just it's the way of life. I always say, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. But there's some recognition that should be in there. So who knows? Who knows? I know one thing that's awesome. That's really awesome. I'll finish this on a great note. Is that Greg Gagne? Do you know the Vern Gagne and Greg Gagne?
Yeah.
In Minneapolis, in Minnesota. That's where Jesse the Body Ventura came. The Road Warriors came from there, and a lot of great talent. Ricky Martel was world champion AWA there, and a lot of people came from there. And Vern Gagne just signed a toy deal for some dolls, and believe it or not, I'm in contact with him all the time now in the last 2 months, and he's going to put the dolls of the 4 generations of the Rougeau family in one box.
Wow.
There's going to be my great uncle Eddie Auger, and then my uncle Johnny, my father Jacques, who were the original Rougeau brothers. And then there's going to be me, Raymond, and Arma, the 3 brothers. And then there's going to be my sons. We're going to be in the same box, all the 4 generations.
Wow.
And that's going to be coming out later this fall, I think, in the summer or this fall. So,
Wow.
so that's amazing. So now we'll finally be immortalized, the Rougeau family, and you're going to be able to get those dolls on YouTube or whoever. I can't follow society anymore, but maybe in Toys R Us, who knows? But it's going to be so fun for us that spent 75 years in the wrestling world, the Rougeau family, to be part of the legacy of wrestling. You know, it's going to be awesome. And thank you, Greg Gagne, for doing that for us. You know, I really appreciate that.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I'm eager to get those now. I got a collection of all the toys, so
Oh yeah.
I'm a collector. But I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you've got things to do and it's pretty late. So before we close this off, is there anything you would like to say to your fans or any?
Yeah, for sure. If you give me the opportunity, I sure will. I could plug my wrestling-academy.ca. I could say all that, but I already said it, but that's okay. Go see it, subscribe and vote. But what I really want to say, Sean, is to not only to my fans, but to you. Thank you for giving me this platform to express myself. Thank you for all the fans across Canada that have supported me through my 41-year career. And have hated me like I wanted them to, and they didn't very much like me because I was a heel pretty much, you know, and I was from French side of Canada. So the English Canadians always were, they always had this grudge against the French Canadians who thought they were a distinct society. But to be honest with you, I always entertained them in the ring, and they always supported me by telling me to get lost and to really express their feelings towards me, and they were always supporting me in that kind of way. And when I was talking outside the ring to all the fans, they were always so nice, considerate. And I'd like to also salute all the wrestlers in Wrestling Academy, from Jordy Taylor, from Cole Buska. There's so many guys out there. Stewie, Sanaka, Stewie, and then who else is the other guy coming there? Who's the other guy there? Raiden, yeah, Raiden. My girlfriend's here. She's checking me out here. And but there's so many guys, Chad Daniels from Winnipeg, but everybody out in the West Coast that have joined in Wrestling Academy and trusted me into this project. I want to thank them. But so please go to wrestling-academy.ca and subscribe and vote for the Vancouver wrestlers and the British Columbia wrestlers, you know, and get into this thing here, and you'll have a lot of fun following this. And remember, it's you guys that are going to make the difference when you vote for them to keep on going or to get lost. But so have fun in this thing, and starting in May, at the end of May, and follow me on YouTube on this website. And if ever I meet you in person, I'd be glad to shake your hands or share a memory with you guys.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done for the Rougeau brothers, for being the Mountie, for the entertainment.
Thank you.
That's the one thing people seem to forget about. It's entertainment. And again, thank you so much. This is a dream come true for me to be able to talk to you one-on-one.
I bet you say that to all your wrestlers.
You're one of my favorites. I'm telling you. I used to.
Remember one thing, Sean. Just remember one thing out of me.
Yeah.
The Mountie always gets his man.
There you go. See, I used to pretend I was the Mountie when we used to play wrestling as a kid. So again, thank you so much. I really super appreciate this. I hope one day I can meet you in person and shake your hand.
Me too. Yeah, me too. You're a very good man. You're a good man, and I have a lot of I feel a lot of empathy towards you because you shared some things with me today that made me feel on the same level as you, and then that made me feel good that I didn't feel like I was alone there, who wasn't a violent person and a nice person, and so I appreciate that, Sean, very much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Anyways, thank you again so much, Mr. Rougeau, for this. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Um, check out the website. I'll put it in the comments. Also,
Check out the QT Marshall interview there. You got to put that in at the end of the show there.
yeah, don't forget to check that out. That's I watched that. It's pretty amazing. Check out all the rest the legends talking about it too on his site. So with that, I will say, always remember, I got you in the sight of my wild eye. Thank you, Mr. Rougeau.